Have you ever heard the dating advice? Just be yourself. Just be your authentic self. While really well intended, this really doesn't give us what we need. This really doesn't give us much to go by. Because here's the thing, what we think of as ourselves, especially when we meet someone that we're attracted to, that we like, that we're maybe trying to impress, maybe hope to have a future with beyond this first date. That self that we turn into and that we think is really ourselves is actually more, it's closer to our hurt selves. The self that has been rejected, that has been hurt in the past, maybe even traumatized, the self that doesn't really have a solid foundation of self-worth and self-respect. And so while this is a little bit uncomfortable to look at, it's so important to discern what self we are talking about when we're talking about being ourselves, being true to ourselves, because it is true. The number one, the best thing that we can do in dating, in relating, is to be ourselves, is to be our authentic selves. But we have to get really clear on what that actually means. And so this video I'm creating this especially for us women that are leaning a little bit more towards anxious attachment, that are the ones, that have such huge hearts and have so much love to give, and that are the ones that tend to lean in a little bit too much. They're the ones that just maybe ignore red flags a little bit too easily, or they are not super attuned to what it truly means to just be yourself if those things weren't happening. So this video is for you. I see so many women going like, all this dating and relating advice, it just sounds like too complicated. Why does everything have to be so complicated? Why can't men just show up and be good guys? Why do we have to jump through hoops and learn all these things? And it sounds kind of like playing games and like playing hard to get. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of shit relating and dating advice out there. There is even advice out there that, makes you want to play hard to get. But the truth is, there's a lot of dating and relating advice that in the very core, stuff like just be yourself actually comes down to one message. And this is the message. It's be hard to get. And when I say hard to get, it doesn't mean something entitled or egocentric, nothing like that. But here's the thing, if we are truly ourselves, if we're truly our authentic selves, it does take quite something. At the very least, it takes some time to know whether or not the person in front of us is the person for us. So it doesn't make us lean in too fast. It doesn't make us move too fast. It doesn't make us ignore red flags. So being yourself, being your authentic self, what it truly means is almost a cellular remembrance of, I am hard to get. And there is no playing in that. For the right person, you're not hard to get at all. But for all those other people, it's like, yeah, you're not actually even available. When women start to really inhabit the feminine, this is what happens automatically. So in the beginning, and it's like with everything, you know, when we're learning to walk, when we're learning to do anything new, in the beginning we kind of have to think about it a little bit. But that feeling is going to come online from the inside out. It's like a remembering. It's like, oh, of course. The feminine, the body, our intuition, our everything, our heart, our wombs, they have an intelligence, and they are always speaking to us, and they're actually saying, like, move a little bit slower. Let's see what this guy is made of. Let's see how he's treating me when this happens, or let's see how he shows up in that situation. That is the feminine. And when we haven't been in touch with her for a while, and that is a lot of us, we end up in the shadow side of the feminine, which one expression of that is anxious attachment, which is what makes us, which is, you know, the women that I'm speaking to in this video, the ones that are eager, that are leaning in, that are chasing, instead of leaning back into ourselves, not pushing back, not playing hard to get, just sitting in our center. And here's the thing. If you were truly being yourself, like how do we even know, right? Because this is the thing, we are at least a lot closer to ourselves when we interact with just humans or just friends that we're good with, we've known for a while, we love them, we care about them. However, we don't abandon ourselves. Right? So to show up in this way with that amount of integrity, we have to treat every single person that we're interacting with, especially the ones that we're attracted to, that we're into, that we're dating, or we're in the early stages of relating, and we have a habit of overgiving, of pleasing, of kind of jumping through hoops a little bit here and there to impress them, to want to be chosen. And most all of this happens very, very unconsciously. But we can catch it when we start to pay attention. So here's a question that you can ask yourself. If this was a person that I wasn't physically, sexually, romantically attracted to, if I wasn't trying to impress them, if I wasn't hoping maybe for a future here, how would I show up? Are there things about myself that I'm kind of hiding in the background or covering up? And here is the main one. Where am I saying yes, where I would actually say no? If anyone else asked this of me, if anyone else showed up in this way, if anyone else treated me this way, would that be what I wanted? Would I say yes? Would I lean in? Or would I say something? Would I say no? Or would I say maybe? Or would I say, hey, I don't like that? This is actually what it means in the most meta way that I can explain it. To be yourself. Do you have access to your true no? And this is where being yourself truly begins. If you can say no when you mean no, and yes only when you mean yes.